We are all born with a certain amount of what is called vital energy. And no two people get the same amount. Now, that seems a little odd, doesn't it? Now, this vital energy, it's been called many times the life force. It's been called sometimes as well that spark of divinity. But it has been known in very ancient circles as vital energy. Now, we're all born with a measure of this vital energy. You and I have it, each person is. Now, if you do a study of humanity, of how a person is born and how their life expectancy is brought out, in the insurance industry, it's called actuaries. So when you're born, the clock has already been determined and set. Now, what's interesting about how that clock is set is really determined upon you as to how long that clock will stay set. Seems a little odd, that, doesn't it? But it's true. So, how you use your allotment of vital energy, would you not say that that would probably be one of the most crucial bits of information you should have been taught at a very early age? And then you should have been taught how to use it, how to begin to become in balance with nature, understanding the laws of conservation. But no, we're not taught that. In fact, most people live and die never knowing what it is that they actually possess and knowing that they can have a determination on how long their life will be. But we don't know. And so, regrettably, for oh so many souls, they come in, they're here, and they leave never knowing. There are those who come in and because of their actions, leave way too early, premature. And then there are those who become victims of the ravages of nature itself, whether it be disease or the life struggle in keeping life within. It's very interesting, is it not? So when I speak of a lifetime, what do you define a lifetime to be? Each of us want that lifetime to be long. We want it to be full. We want it to be filled with the basic needs of our necessities to be met. And with that, each soul hopes that it can, in fact, achieve one of the most precious crowns that are given, and that's the crown of old age. We look at it very differently, and that is by design. And so a lifetime for each person is different. And again, how you use your allotment of vital force energy is really incumbent upon you. Now, oddly enough, what this can actually happen is that you can have reservoirs of this vital energy for later in life. Ever ask yourself, why is it that some who seem very aged yet are as agile as a teenager? Their minds are even sharper than even the young adults. Yes, why is that? It's because they found a path. Have you thought about your life and what is required for life? Do you know that the very act of breathing is robbing you of life, long life? It is actually consumes most of your life allotment of vital energy. Were you aware of that? Most of us are not. So when we study the involuntary act of breathing, we never stop about the amount of energy, the amount of force that is actually required in the process. We have no idea. We take it so for granted. And it's to our own peril and demise. Man is so outwardly minded that he does not even know that which he possesses. For the very act of inhaling and exhaling, when I show you the numbers, are overwhelming. And when you then begin to meditate on the amount of energy, of your life energy, that you are wasting, and I say wasting, it's alarming when you learn. Laws, physical laws of nature. With labor comes forth which consumes energy. Less labor, less energy consumed. Very, very basics to understanding nature's laws. All right, each of us have a finite amount of the vital force energy within us. The act of breathing alone consumes the largest portion of your vital energy of mine. The involuntary muscular exertion of breathing consumes nearly 70%, ladies and gentlemen, of that vital force. 70%. That is overwhelming amount of this precious resource. The very act of respirations wear away your body and shorten your lifespan. The animation I showed you shows you just what's happening here. We are taught that no breath, no life, right? But I challenge you to open your mind. Don't close it. You see, we close our minds because we think that all the knowledge has already been discovered. And anything that challenges that is summarily rejected. We may not have been taught of another definition of breathing. So, how much energy does it take? Just by this animation, you can begin to see the effort. Now, here's a puzzle. We have been taught we must have oxygen to live. It's a vital gas that is required to sustain life. Now, we are taught, and medical science has shown, that we breathe in about 21% of oxygen. Now, here's the mind scrambler. We breathe out 17.5%. Now, deep sea divers that dive very deep and actually have to stay in the underwater submersibles habitats, they don't breathe oxygen. I actually learned this of all things in a Michael Crichton book. And if many of you ever seen the movie Spear, it was a very interesting point of science in there that he inserted. That these deep divers, what they breathe is primarily a mixture of nitrogen, helium. You know, that's why they have to go through the whole process of basically getting out all of the nitrogen bubbles in the bloodstream. So oxygen, then by definition, is an oxidizer. Oxidizers are corrosive. Now add this to what you've been seeing already, to the amination that's going on, and now you can begin to add another compound to it that we're actually bringing in a corrosive gas. So we're talking about energy and the consumption of it, and is it possible to conserve? I'm going to show you why you and I wear out like a tire. Because the fact that as long as you're still breathing and still walking, well, your body is in the process of degenerating. Now, it doesn't need to be that way, but we've been told and taught that this is the way it is. And thus, because this is what we've been taught, and thus because what our science shows us thus far, and of course, again, we fail to understand that all science is evolving. There are no absolutes. Man has not acquired all knowledge and has not reached the total point of ascension. But on the other hand, it's also could be considered a great gift. A great gift in seeing the body wear out. And why not? The fact that we were given this body, we had no choice in it. We have no choice in the way that the body functions, or do we? As it's taught to us today, this is what you can expect. Our outer house ages. And yes, it does. But again, I ask you, why is it that there are those seniors, those who have begun to master the very elements themselves, have long life, are still agile as that of their youth, and their minds are even sharper? What is it that they have discovered that others, by the majority, have not? We're taught that because the exterior basically begins to disintegrate, we fail to understand where that vital energy is stored. And thus, one of the greatest pieces of knowledge have been taken away from us. So we have Hamilton's equation here, but this is not what I want you to look at. I want us to look at the numbers of what we've been talking about, because when you start putting the numbers down, it opens up a whole new channel of thought. So just the numbers. Each heartbeat pushes 2.5 ounces of blood. The average person at a resting rate should be at about 70 beats per minute, which equates to 556 pounds per hour of blood being pushed through your body. Now, in a 24-hour period of time, it is nearly 8 tons. That's 16,000 pounds. The lungs contract over 1,000 times per hour, moving 3,000 gallons of air per day. Now, if you multiply the BPM, which is 16,000, by 365, multiply that by the 3 million times 365, you get a number of 6,394,800,000,000, or translated out, that's 200,000 tons of blood, 400,000 pounds, plus 65 million gallons of air that your body is expending each year. That boggles the imagination. I dare anyone hearing my voice could lift 200,000 tons. And I doubt very seriously that you could carry 65 million gallons of air in a short period of time, but that's what we do. And we do it unconsciously, never equating that there is a tremendous amount of expenditure of energy being depleted here. And once vital energy is consumed, it dissipates. During the natural lifespan, more energy is required to move material that we just saw and wasted from the motion of the heart and lungs. But you would say, but Wayne, without that we can't live. Again, let's expand our knowledge. We don't have all the knowledge, and just because that's what we see today in the physiology that we have been taught does not make it so. This motion also requires large consumption of food matter to preserve heat and expel waste so as to ensure the organs have energy. And then you add gravity, which also pulls against the force of man, our life force. You see, the very life force within you and I disrupts energy, the natural state of energy, which is at rest. Energy is alive. Just because it's at rest, which is the perfect state, does not mean it's not sentient. And that is why the elements master man at their command, instead of man being the master of the elements at his command. Look at this. You want to talk about inefficiency. This is the model of inefficiency. Listen, I used to, listen, the body and how it functions and forms is magnificent. Listen, I've enjoyed mine for over 62 years. But when you begin to study and understand where the conservation of energy is concerned, our bodies are huge wasters of energy. There is a better way to design the body. There is a better and more efficient way than this. The future man will evolve to the place where he will have no need of lungs or digestion. The conservation of energy will dominate our bodies. And here's the thing, folks. Our skin can already do this. In fact, the odd thing is our skin appears to have been designed to do this from the beginning. And when you get those funny pictures of the ETs, the grays, you know why that they have such narrow waist and narrow chest? Their bodies are the efficiency of energy. Everything you and I need to breathe can be absorbed through our skin. Everything that needed to be expunged because of that process can be done with our skin. Our skin is capable now of absorbing all the nutrients required for life itself. Makes you begin to think that maybe the designers didn't have it quite right. The thing is this, ladies and gentlemen. Humanity, what other new version that will come, whether that be Homo transient, Homo improvus? I don't know. But we will get there. The evolution alone will begin to impart into our bodies, into our consciousness. And eventually our species will evolve to the place where we no longer need to expend this vital energy. We will be able to conserve it and extend the natural lifespan in this temporal plane to hundreds of thousands of years. That is the future.